and welcome to Not All Fire. I'm Jude Evans.
And I'm Joe Hart.
Welcome back to the UK, Joe.
Isn't this the UK? Isn't it raining and horrible and I would have to wear a hoodie to sleep in? It's I'm definitely back.
How's your jet lag?
Oh, mine's not so bad. I did a red eye, flying back. So it was an overnight flight, but I stayed awake the whole time. And I got back on Monday at like 4 p.m. and I was like, I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm going to get normal sleep. And I managed to reset okay. So I'm doing all right, actually, to be fair.
That's
a little
good.
bit of that sort of tiredness behind the eyes that isn't quite going. So I look a little bit, I'm not looking my best, but yeah,
You're
doing
looking
all right.
very tanned, though. I mean, you must have been out in the sun there, obviously, when you're wandering around the hills.
I did. Well, I was just out in the sun all week, and on Sunday, I think it was. Yeah, I took a day off because I'd finished my work a little early. Obviously, no one was online, so I went down the beach and I just had a day on the beach lying around, which was
Oh,
beautiful.
nice.
If I were to remove my t-shirt, Jude, which I will not do because it's a video podcast now, obviously I did it every week previous, you would think I was wearing a pink t-shirt underneath. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Whilst
That's
I may
so
have
funny.
some brown on the exposed areas that I remembered to put sun cream on, when I fell asleep on Venice Beach on Sunday and didn't, a lovely shade of pink. But yeah, there we go.
Oh.
I'm home.
See, I want to go to Venice Beach just to watch all the skateboarders. It's been a thing for so long now, having played Tony Hawk's on a PlayStation 2 many
Yeah.
moons ago. I'm always like, Venice Beach is where all the skateboarders hang out. So yes.
Oh, so if you ever get a chance to skateboard, the skateboarders are
Skate
incredible.
park is amazing. Yeah.
It really is.
It's
I've
really
no
fun.
I've no interest in skateboarding. It doesn't appeal to me, but just to go and see it and see them do their things. They're all doing flips and tricks and it's all good fun.
It's so
So that's
cool.
exactly in fact
Yeah.
that's exactly where I was next to the skate park the other day.
Oh,
Yeah, all good fun.
gosh. How fun.
Anyway,
So we're recording this on a Wednesday because I was at the Health, Safety and Wellbeing Conference up in Manchester yesterday, and then I was on a panel of speakers talking about high-rise fire safety. I was kind of doing the fire risk assessment bit. Sharon from PB Safety, a friend of the show, Sharon, was there hosting it. Darren, her colleague from PB, he was there sort of as a building safety specialist, and then we had Anne Isaacs from IOSH fire group as well, who works as kind of residential liaison and manages residents in buildings. So it was part of the IOSH fire risk management group that we did this for, and it was quite good actually. We had quite a few quite a good turnout, quite a few good questions, which is always really nice.
yeah.
Met a really interesting lady who is a legal eagle and was telling us about sort of working with clients in the fire sector about how to gain access to buildings and how to sort of work with leaseholders and people to get access and to take people to court and stuff like that, which was quite cool. And then I drove back from Manchester down to Essex yesterday. I dropped Sharon off where she lives, sort of just north of London. But it was still like 5 hours of driving. So I was quite, by the time I got in last night, I was hanging. You probably were absolutely pooped as well. So therefore, that's why we didn't record last night as normal. But I've managed to sneakily find a space in my client's office to record from that's quiet and
Very nice.
nice. Quite
Cool.
exciting. We've got housing regulator stuff happening at the moment here, which is slightly disconcerting, but all good fun.
Do you know, I didn't realise yesterday you were speaking at the event. I didn't realise you were on a panel.
I know,
Nice.
right? I don't advertise anything. And also, amusingly, I was down as Jude Evans, which my LinkedIn profile is Judith, so nobody could then find me to link me. But what was really nice is that I was down as Jude Evans, Rowan's Fire Safety, and the Not All Fire podcast. So
Really?
they so they advertised that they are free advertising for the podcast as well. So may have gained a couple of listeners yesterday, or they may have looked at it and gone, absolutely, we're now not going to listen to podcasts. So
might have lost some, Jude. Might have lost some listeners.
50-50. So
That's nice.
yes, it was really interesting. Do you know what for me, still the biggest thing is the fact that actually we've kind of got HRB fire safety. We're pretty much on the right track now, and
Sure.
people are doing the fire risk assessments, and we've kind of got it because of the safety cases. But like 4, 5, and 6 story buildings, people have just gone, we don't need to do that. We don't need to worry about them because the regulator has said we only have to worry about 7 or more stories. So therefore, we're only worrying about 7 or more stories. And we've got loads of buildings that are 4, 5, and 6 stories that are being forgotten about, that are still bad, but they don't have plans. They don't have secure information boxes. They don't have the information that we have for the taller buildings, but they're just as risky as but they're just not tall. So
Yeah, there's that little kind of gap with that threshold between 11 and 18, isn't there? Everyone talks a lot about 18 meters and above and 7 stories. I think it was on this show I think it was on this show that I learnt actually from a guest speaker, Sean, who came in about where that 7 stories comes from, and it relates to a structural calc
structural thing.
wind loading. It has no relation to fire, but that's become the de facto limit for higher risk in inverted commas.
Buildings,
obviously, we've discussed many times that there is perhaps more risk in a single story building if it's designed incorrectly. So yeah, there's that little gap in there between 11 and 18. But then we do see shifts though, right? Because sprinkler threshold height's down to 11 from 18. We see other things. So there is a nudge towards it, and who knows where it'll go in the future. Because
absolutely, I'm sure at some point, once we've got the safety cases for tall buildings, they'll want them for lower buildings as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite interesting actually, because in the news we've just had a housing association that was taken to court from a fire they had in 2022 in a property. I don't think it's a very tall property because it was independent living, and in Godalming, where a guy died because he was a wheelchair user, and where they hadn't got door closers on flat entrance doors, there wasn't, even though it was supposed to be a stay put property, there wasn't the compartmentation because they didn't have the door closers on to enable people to move around. So they were fined £120,000
they were fined. Oh, right. Okay. Wow. So they were found guilty.
Yeah, found guilty. So the council said the housing association admitted failing to attach a self-closing device to a flat entrance door, provide an appropriately configured system for the premises stay put policy, and address the recommendations going back 3 years before the fire. They pleaded guilty to the 3 charges brought against them. That's Mountain Green Housing Association by Surrey County Council, that resulted in the tragic loss of Mr. Waller's life. We fully accept that the fine has subsequently been issued. They started addressing the fire safety issues, which began in April 2021, but the fire was actually in 2022. But yeah, so £120,000 for that fine. So again, breaches for the fire safety order.
I was about to say I haven't seen this, but I wonder what the breach is. But fire safety order for not inadequate maintenance and upkeep of the property by not having self-closure on, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just seeing if there's any more information. Basically, the breaches of the regulatory reform fire safety order were failure to attach a self-closing device to a flat entrance door, failure to provide an adequately configured system for the premises stay put policy, and a failure to address recommendations from fire risk assessments dating back as far as 2019. So yeah, you don't need a high-rise building for it to be a danger.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you know, I've got a question for you. It's just occurred to me about fire risk assessments, my own fire risk assessment.
Yes.
I won't derail the train of thought, but we will have to come back to it because you might be able to help me on it. Well, hopefully you can. Anyway.
Oh, do you want to ask it now? Or is this after the podcast? We discuss everything else on the podcast.
No. It was mainly that bit was supposed to be in my brain, but it just shot out on the podcast. But we can't edit anymore because it's a video one, so we've got to stick with it. So this is staying in. But you probably are the person to help me, in actual fact. So here's a question from a listener. Well, I don't really listen to this show. Here's a question from a presenter.
You have to listen to it. You edit it.
Yeah, I know. The panic exit devices on doors and interfacing with fire alarms, right? So there is a small amount of backstory to this, I'll have to tell you. It is my own building that you visited. Our head office is currently being refurbished. We're fitting a new floor and all that. And we took the opportunity to get our FRA done whilst that was happening as well, because I thought if we need to do anything remedial, we'll do it now while the building's closed. So we had an FRA done just before. It's like an interim because we need to redo it when we move back in. We're doing everything properly, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, one thing I happen to be getting fitted is a new door entry system. You'll remember you turn up to my office and you were banging on the door saying, "Where's Joe?" ringing me.
Absolutely, because it's absolute nightmare trying to get into your building, yes.
Yeah, well, we've got an intercom where you press a button, but it didn't go anywhere. We moved into it. Whoever moved out hadn't connected it up or whatever. So I'm getting a new door entry system fitted, right? So when you go into the door, there's a mag lock, and if you're on the inside, there's a green button, and you've got a key fob to get in. And then the new door entry system is going to be a press the button, it's going to go to a phone on reception. All fairly standard mainstream. It's costed about £2,500. It's going in on Tuesday next week, right? And I put it in the group chat to my team earlier and said, hey, this is happening, by the way. If you're there, there's someone knocking on the door. That's what it is. And the guy in my team, Matthew, that did our fire risk assessment said, is it interfaced with the fire alarm system? And I said, oh, I don't know, probably not, because this is a different person to our fire alarm. In actual fact, I'm fitting a new fire alarm in a few weeks, so we could probably do it retro. But does it need to be? And if you're on the inside and you were evacuating, let's assume the alarm's gone off and you get to the door, there's a big green press button that you go out and it opens in direction of escape and that. But there isn't an interface. Now, help me. Am I all right? Should I still fit it on Tuesday? Or should I wait till the fire alarm goes in a few weeks and then retro do it? Or is it okay to just have the green press thing? I don't quite know.
A lot of the time we have it so that if the fire service arrive, they have access to your building if the fire alarms are activating. The problem is if you have a fire in the middle of the night and the fire alarms go off, then your building all of a sudden is unsecure.
Yeah.
If you have a green button, you also have to have the green break glass.
Yes. Yeah.
So you've got absolutely two ways to be able to activate your door to make sure you can get out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to have that for an office block? Would you need it to be interfaced? Possibly not. Based on the assessment of risk for the people in your building, would they be able to get out if it wasn't interfaced? As not, you deliver training, so everybody has an induction. There's not people in the building who would not be unsupervised. The training courses that you run have a host, so therefore they would be able to explain to people how to get out the fire if a fire were to occur. There's enough people in the office that would know what to do. You've got your rear means of escape anyway, so you've got two different directions. Is it necessary to be interfaced with the fire alarm? Probably not, because it's an office block.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking and hoping.
Yeah,
I didn't want to have an FRA.
If it was residential, it might be one where it would activate to unlock the door. You don't obviously want the door to open because that would be weird, but you have it just so it interfaces so it would unlock the door so that people can come in and out unhindered. But realistically, because it's an office, I don't think I'm concerned by that. Where we have it for sheltered housing, where we have it for places like care homes, where we have it for residential, where we have it for different vulnerabilities, it may be interfaced.
Yeah.
But
the biggest fear for me is the case you just said, which is middle of the night, spider crawls into the detector or a bit of dust goes up or whatever, alarms start going off, door swings open, somebody wandering past middle of the night goes, God, that's loud, what's going on? Hello, there's a load of computers in here or whatever.
There's a load of shiny test equipment here.
Yeah. I doubt anyone's going to walk past and nick a oxygen bomb calorimeter, but they might nick a few monitors and laptops. So yeah, I was. Do you know what? I've done this on this show before, but I'll do it again. Right now that I am the RP, and now that I am a facilities manager, and I look after a building, I'm not in a serviced office anymore. It's my own site. I am a much better consultant because I am now also a client.
Yeah.
So when we got that message through this morning and I said, I'm fitting this door entry, it's going to cost X amount. If there's any disruption, let me know. And one of my team leapt in and went, is it interfaced with the fire alarm? Immediately my brain was like, oh, it might be in the guidance, I should check it. But also I don't want in the middle of the night someone to get in. So yeah, I'm a better consultant for being a client, I think.
Yeah, but that's why we do these kind of assessments. And in fact, actually I had one this morning where one of my clients who has a school, and they have in a corridor at the front of the building, they've got a door that's got a thumb turn, but it leads directly out to the car park and then out into the street, as opposed to normally where you'd evacuate into the back of the playground and across into the field. Well, one of their pupils has worked out that if they go to this door and undo the thumb turn, they can run out. They can F.O. So they're gone. So he came to me and went, what do I do? I said, if I install a hardwired device that's connected to the fire alarm that keeps it locked when the fire alarm isn't going off, that's going to cost me £1,500. Can I put a key with a key in a box next to it? And I was like, I don't really like the idea of a key. Like 15 years ago, if we were designing buildings, you could probably have it so you could have a lock with a key and put the key in a key safe next to it that could be used. But now we're a bit
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's a final exit door. It's still final exit door. Doesn't need to be fire rated because it's just for getting out of. I was
Yeah.
like, this is primary school, teeny tiny kids. Well, the young ones are teeny tiny kids. So I said, well, why don't you just move the thumb turn to eye height?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That
Because
makes
that
sense.
way then it's the teeny tiny kids can't reach it to turn the thingy,
Yeah.
but a blanking plate where it used to be doesn't matter. It's a steel door. It's final exit, and so
Yeah.
therefore you by moving the mechanism to lock the door or unlock the door, you've saved yourself lots of money that schools, as we know, don't have.
Yeah.
And you've kind of solved your problem. I mean, I was
Yeah.
always a bit like, well, perhaps it should be managed better, but it's a through route because it's between where a load of the classrooms are. They go through then to the hall or to the canteen. So
Sure.
you've always got people going past.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a meeting this
that
morning with a
works.
school, a new client, as it happens. I might end up tapping you up for some advice on that off air because it's a bit of a tricky
I
school.
can
I know you
help.
do a lot of them.
Oh, so many schools, so many schools. I really feel like compartmentation plans of schools where I've done so many in the last year, and then school academies and stuff. I've been doing schools for a really long time, whether it's
Yeah.
SEN schools, whether it's new build PFI. I might have to calculate how many school fire risk assessments I've done over the last 20 years at some point. I feel like it's quite a
Yeah. Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, very
that's
good.
good.
Well, I've also this
Um,
week thinking about what else I'm back to. I don't think I've talked about this. I'm lecturing tomorrow. Did I tell you I'm down at Coventry Uni giving some lectures this
oh, for
week?
the for apprentices.
No, not apprentices, architecture students. The
Oh,
School of Architecture. So today,
oh
and
my
we're
goodness
recording this
me.
this afternoon, and then I'm straight from here over to the office, and then I've got a meeting tonight with the RSPCA where I'm a
Uh,
trustee. So I've got a
yeah, yeah.
non-work meeting, but then I'm in the car to Coventry, driving down tonight, so I won't get there till midnight. And then tomorrow I'm giving a lecture to the School of Architecture, some of the master's
Oh, how
students there.
fun.
And they do this really, I think it's a really good assessment piece, which I'm excited to learn a little bit more about, where they do what's called a studio. So every week for 8 weeks, they have a design, the architecture students, and then every week they have a guest lecture from a different discipline come in. So in week 1, they have photovoltaics. In week 2, it's electrical consultant. Week 3, M&E. Week 4, me is fire. And what they do as their assessment is they kind of update their design every week according to what that different design has given them. So
Oh, fun.
as an example, I don't know what they've had thus far, but let's say that the photovoltaic consultant has said stick some PVs on the roof. And then I'll kind of go in and I'll say, if you have photovoltaics on a roof and you've got a compartment wall, you need a separation between them. So then after week 4, they'll go,
Oh,
oh, I'm going to separate that. And that becomes an element of their design. And it teaches them that as an architect, you have to change the design based on advice given, which is a really cool assessment. So I'm excited to be teaching on that now. I'm down there tomorrow afternoon. Yeah.
do you know what? That statement about PV and over the compartment walls, I had 3 conversations with 3 different clients last week about the fact they put PVs on roofs and they had got it over compartment walls. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
can't do it. 2 blocks of flats and a school building.
Yeah.
And
I
also,
probably
can we put inverters in cupboards that are easy access, preferably on the ground floor, please? Thank you very much.
I probably get the same query once a week. And yesterday I got, can the inverter go in the loft space in a cupboard?
No, it can't.
Do you know what though? 2-3 years ago, I'd probably never really had that question, and now it's a weekly question.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Honestly, because
Yeah,
everybody's putting PV. It's like it's the EV car charger. It's PVs.
yeah,
All of these things now that we weren't asked 3 years ago
yeah,
because it wasn't a thing.
yeah.
Absolutely, now is a thing. So
And
yeah.
that's why people that are lecturers and teach training courses should be practitioners, because you can
How
go
do you
and
know?
say,
Yeah.
hey, guess what I'm being asked about this year that wasn't being asked last year, and you give that real exposure. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. I do it for a few different universities. I'm at Coventry tomorrow. I've never been to the uni. I've been to Coventry, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that talk. That should be
I
fun.
feel I may have told this story before, but a friend of mine was at Coventry University when I was at university. So obviously, at the end, as the young people like to say, at the end of the 1900s,
Yeah.
um,
Cutting, isn't it, when
which
they say
makes me
that?
feel very, very old.
Is it right that you were born in the 1900s? I'm like, oh my God, don't say it like that. But yes.
I think you'll find it's still the 20th century, no matter what you say. The end of the 19 music from the end of the 1900s. So my mate was at uni, mid-90s, Coventry University, and I want to say one of her friends came back from a night out and decided wanted to cook frozen burgers. They put a toaster on its side and put the burgers in.
Right. I don't think
Have
you
I
have.
told
I
you
don't
this
think I
story
remember
before?
this one.
So
No.
the student accommodation back then was in a tower block in the centre of town, or a
Yeah.
10-story building, whatever. And yeah, they came back in the middle of the night after going clubbing, put some burgers in a toaster. The obvious happened, which is the fat then caused smoke, which set the fire alarms off. So yeah, they evacuated the building at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Uh-oh. Not popular.
Uh-oh. Lots of drunk people wandering around going, "What's that noise?"
Yeah.
So quite amusing. No, oh, that's going to be quite good. I've been talking to architects with my client that I'm working for today, which is quite nice.
Yeah. I'm excited to learn. One of the biggest things on the program I'm excited to learn is what training architects go through. Because we all know that they do a lot more years at university and they do a lot more training before they become, with their protected title of architect, more there. I'm interested to just speak to the students and see what they learn at university, because I know that the guys I'm teaching tomorrow have done placements in industry, so I'm interested to learn
Well, that's fun.
from them. They've given me the case study. It's a swimming pool, so I'm doing fire safety in a swimming pool, which
Oh,
felt like an
we've
easy
talked a
gig, but
lot
there's quite a
about
lot
fire
to it.
safety in swimming pools, haven't we?
I'm just going to play my podcast, Jude, and sit down, sip on a cup of tea, listen to this
Found a
episode.
clip. Let me play this for you.
Yeah. Fire safety swimming pools. The one that's the most notable I've found is emergency lighting. The new 5266 standard that came in a few weeks ago. Different standards for swimming pools now, because it takes account of the reflection off the water, which is
it's
a
lower lux
notable
levels.
one.
I was speaking to somebody. We were talking about. I need to look at it to see what the requirements now are for emergency lighting on roofs of buildings, because we've got a 1930s building that I'm doing a retro fire strategy on at the moment, and to go on to the different areas of roof where plant are. It's like 4 or 5 old cinema, 4 or 5 story type building, and they want to replace a load of the emergency lighting, so they want to check, because as my client said, he said, I've had 3 different quotes from 3 different contractors that quote 3 different designs, and I don't know which one is anywhere compliant. So yeah, but that's what's interesting, especially when you get a change of standard like that, is that some people will just go, well, this is what I think based on common sense. This is what I think based on the old standard. This is what I think based on the new standard. And sometimes you kind of got to sort the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, I was talking about this in America last week, chatting to another consultant, and he was saying that, as we've done on this show a few times, in America, it's quite not straightforward. I'm not suggesting it's easy, but it's a lot more linear, that's the code, that's what you're designed to. As an engineer, you're telling people how to achieve compliance with that code. Whereas here, it's interpretation. A British standard even is not something that is mandatory.
I know.
Yeah.
Talking about British standards then. So ISO 3941.
Oh yeah, one of my favourites. Never heard of it. What is it?
Apparently, it's to do with fire extinguishers. It's being revised because what they're looking at, what the International Standards Committee are looking at, is they're looking to actually have lithium-ion batteries as a class, to have class L fire extinguishers. Now, interestingly, we've always had special metal fire extinguishers. So you have L12 or M42, or because it relates to the different metals, because I've had specialised in some of the steelworks in the past when I used to have a fire extinguisher business. So you'd have a specific, whether it was for titanium, whether it was magnesium, whether it's for lithium, you'd have a specific battery for that. A specific fire extinguisher content for that material. But it looks like they're trying to properly standardise it.
Okay. And that will be because the class of fires is class A, B, C, etc., isn't it? Is it a new is it L, I guess? Is it class L fire? Yeah, for lithium. Okay.
Basically, they're saying that the upcoming ISO 3941 revision introduces Class L as a dedicated fire classification for lithium-ion cells and batteries where no metallic lithium is present. that's quite significant, because how do you define when it's lithium ion and not metallic lithium? How are you
Right.
gonna
Okay. I mean, it's battery fires, isn't it? That's what they're shooting
yeah,
for. But there's
it's battery
lithium-ion
fires.
batteries in the laptop in front of me, the television behind me, the
My phone that
phone
I'm
on the
reading from,
desk.
yes.
So how do you define where that would be? It would be
I
literally
don't know.
anywhere and probably everywhere, wouldn't it? As a
Pretty
yeah.
much. So yeah, they're now recognised as a distinct electrochemical hazard with their own behaviour and suppression challenges, not a variation of something we already understand. So yeah, there's it looks like that's kind of where we're going. So potentially there'll be a change to the British standard, but then I still feel that, and this is in no way a disservice to the British Standards Institute, but every British standard is supposed to be reviewed every 5 years.
It
And
is. Yeah.
I don't think they're on top of things at the moment.
Well, no, not at all. Quote standards from the late 1900s, in fact.
Oh no, for the
Sometimes.
late 1900s, yes.
Yeah.
It's a real challenge, because all right, sometimes you just look at them and go, actually, we reviewed it and it doesn't need to change. Nothing needs to be changed. It's fine.
Yeah.
The problem is where we've got new technologies such as lithium-ion batteries, where we've got new products, where we've got increasing materials. I mean, here's a question for you. Oh, and this is from Chris, my
Okay.
lovely new trainee fire engineer.
Okay. Hello, Chris.
Our fire curve that we use is based on timber.
Yeah.
Is that still suitable based on the fact that most of our homes contain plastics?
No, Chris is the answer. But
At
nor
least
is
it's a
it.
standard.
Yeah, and that's the point.
It's a
Nor is it in.
benchmark.
Yeah, nor is it intended to be representative of a real fire. The curve, which kind of does this, and we can flash on screen what it looks like, so I can stop waving my arm around. It's not really intended to represent a fire. Nor does it have anything in there about toxicity, nor does it have anything in there. It's just a fire curve that's temperature versus time. Or yeah. So it's used so that if we do two tests, if I test this coffee cup in a rig and I test this pen, I can see which one has more resistance to that flame, and you test it against the exact same exposure. So you'd see that probably the pen lasts a bit longer.
Yeah. Hence we've done with fire doors. A fire door test is just a benchmark to turn around and say, in a furnace, this will behave like this. It doesn't mean it's going to behave like that in the real world.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We've done a test, and this is how we can compare fire door A with fire door B.
Exactly. And that's why if anyone ever sends you a report and it says the fire door's for 30 minutes, so you've got 30 minutes to escape, you have my express permission to tear that piece of paper up and throw it in the bin, because it's wrong and it's unethical to say those things. The fire curve itself, it's a very good question from Chris about if it's based on timber, is it still representative? It isn't, and nor was it ever representative of anything. It's just a benchmark that we can make sure everything's tested to the same standard. There is a thing with equal areas underneath the graphs, which is useful, which we have spoken about on the show before, about the equal area hypothesis by Ingberg. Really useful bit of engineering work. Very difficult to describe on a podcast, but like that basically is trying to take that curve and apply it to a real fire. I had a dissertation student a few years ago on their masters who looked at the fire curve that we have, and will be on screen as I'm talking now, is a very, very fast growing fire that never has a decay phase. The rate at which it grows slows throughout its time. So it grows very fast and then it goes off and the curve gets shallower as it goes along. So it's definitely never a real fire. But the question is, and the question that the student sought to answer was, is there ever a case where we can have a fire that is greater than the standard curve, that grows faster and reaches a higher peak heat release earlier in the fire? And they found a few examples where that does actually happen. Yeah. Now that's a big risk, because in that case, if you have something, this pen that happens to be on my desk in front of me, if this lasts 30 minutes in a standard test against that standard curve, if your real fire is hotter than that and grows quicker, that 30-minute thing is going to fail in 20 minutes. So that's where the big risk comes in.
Yeah, hence we talked about with lithium ion fires, where we have battery fires like that. In a house, we've designed our walls to that benchmark of the standard, but actually the fire growth is much faster and it gets much hotter.
Absolutely. And the CFD, we did a load of CFD on this over the course of a year. And what they looked at was a loading bay in a car park with a shutter that was on it, a fire shutter.
Ooh.
So if a fire alarm goes off, the shutter drops and it at least protects the shopping centre, let's say, that they had the other side of it. They modelled that with a standard vehicle, and you could shove a load of stuff in the back of it, whatever's going to burn. But then they did it with an electric vehicle. And they said, if we have an electric vehicle in a loading bay with a 60-minute shutter, does that give us 60 minutes? No, it failed in about 15. And it was compliant. The shutter was still a 60-minute shutter. It met the strategy. But because the fire was greater than what we tested the active fire barrier to, it failed really, really soon. Yeah. There's a lot of good research. To be fair, I read a lot of research and I'm cynical about lots of it because that's what research is. It's there to be scrutinised and peer reviewed. But one thing I've seen lots of good research on, in fairness, is about fire curves. So
cool.
There's been a load published fairly recently that I've seen floating about.
Oh, I shall get Chris to read some as part of his learning phase.
There you are, Chris. Welcome
Look
to
forward
the industry.
to that, Chris.
Welcome to learning. Yes.
He's done a lot of reading. I will say now, most of my IT issues are now sorted. So Chris actually now has an email address. He's only been working for the company for 3 weeks. It's taken us that long to get him an email address onto the system. I have had several nervous breakdowns in the last 2 weeks. But IT Tom has sorted out all of my stuff. So thank you, IT Tom. So yes, it's been challenging. It's been challenging. We ought to say as well, now this is, how do I put this? We have a listener, his name is Rob, he's from Grimsby Fire Station. He sent us a message to the Not All Fire website, Not All Fire email address, but he's only on episode 16. And as this is episode 93, this is very much to future Rob. So
hello, Rob of the future.
Hello, Rob of the future, when you finally get around to listening to episode 93.
Yeah.
He asked about training courses for compartmentation and how to understand and work out compartmentation. And I suppose it kind of sits in with lots of other things. It sits in that kind of fire design. It sits in with approved document B understanding. It kind of sits in with a lot of understanding and designing fire strategies, I suppose. So a lot of the time it's part of a degree course, but a lot of the courses that are out and about, I think even yours, you can probably just sit in and you don't have to do the exams at the end. You can use them for information, can't you?
Yeah, totally. The compartmentation for me is there's two parts to it. There's theory and there's practice. And I think everybody in the world, everyone who works in fire, not like the postman, but like everyone who works in fire should do both. Milkman. I mean, hey, I sell these things. Everyone in the world should do it. It should be mandatory.
No. There are other courses available.
There probably are, but come to me first. No, compartmentation. I think that everybody should install a bit of fire stopping, even if you're a consultant that sits behind a desk or you're a firefighter. Like that's important to me. Totally. I believe. Honestly,
find out how actually hard it is to make sure you've got the correct depth.
Yeah, and you could sit in a classroom and I could talk at you for 7.5 hours and I could give you an exam and you'll forget it in a week or a month or a year or 10 years maybe. If we're lucky, we get a week out of you. But physically doing it, you'll never forget that actual process of doing it and taking a photo and stuff like that. So for me, if it's a not generic, but a general overview of how do I conquer the world of compartmentation, for me, it's learn a bit about fire strategies so you understand what compartmentation is, and then
because it's a lot of the time people just want to know, how do I work out where there is compartmentation in a building? How do I understand I did a little CPD. We had all the team up on Monday and I did a little CPD. We started out talking about fire alarms and kind of moved a little bit into compartmentation, but it's looking at the key areas, about explaining about where the key areas are, where the key routes where fire spread could occur and how to protect against them.
Yeah, and that's the first critical stage of compartmentation, being able to look outside. Don't just sit in a room and go, is that a fire door? Because I can't stand in any building if someone points at the door and says, does that need to be a fire door, and answer it. You can't do that.
You need to see the wider surrounding. Yeah,
exactly. And in actual fact, one of the biggest blights in our industry right now is people that claim to be able to do that, and they go in and they say, that needs replacing, all that fire stopping needs doing, I'll do that for you. And you go in, you go, what are you fire stopping bathrooms for? What's the point? That's not even a protected corridor. So the first part for me is understanding more widely kind of what compartmentation is and what it's trying to achieve and how buildings are designed. And then the second part, and I have to come back to that first point in a second because I want to make another point on it, but I'll do this first. The second part is just try and find a course if you can where you get to go and for a day you spend half a day learning some theory, and then you go and you actually squirt mastic and you do it and you install it so you understand what the products are. And I could be shameless and plug my own courses, but the people that actually do it better than me are the manufacturers.
Quellfire,
These guys are great because I mean they're invariably using their own products and getting hands-on, but that's so I sit those courses whenever I can because I want to know what the products are and understand it, right? So even as a teacher, as a lecturer, I want to go and learn from other people because they are the experts in it. So that's my answer. I don't know how valuable that is to Rob in 10 years' time when he finally gets to this episode. But I do have to clarify something very deeply, which is compartmentation isn't a thing. It's the wrong word. The word should be banned. And I've done this on the show so many times that anyone who says, can you do me a compartmentation survey? I say no, because it's not a thing. Unfortunately, that C word is the C word to me. Because compartmentation is a very specific thing. And it's about breaking a building up into compartments and making sure that they are of the same fire rating as the structure and all that kind of stuff. So a 30-minute
fire survey?
Passive fire, exactly is what I call it. I call it a passive fire survey or a fire-resisting construction survey. People that say I've done some compartmentation markups, again, you got Joe's permission, tear it up, throw it in the bin, rename it, submit it to me again. So another thing for Rob there to be aware of is that if we say, can I learn about compartmentation, you might not necessarily be learning the right thing because compartmentation as a subject is quite small. Really, you want to be looking at passive fire. You want to understand the 30-minute fire rating around a storeroom is not compartmentation. That's not a compartment, a fire compartment where we're seeking to contain the fire to allow us to do means of escape. But fire-resistant construction, the answer is the same. If we just change out the word in the question, how do I learn about fire-resistant construction? It's still some theory, some practice, try and get hands-on and learn some strategy stuff along the way as well. And doors. Do some fire door learning. That's important.
I like fire door learning. I've done quite a few fire door courses over the last 15 years. Some really good hands-on one.
Yeah.
Good, have you done the FDM one down at Bury?
No, I haven't. I know you were there. You phoned me on your way home from it that day when you sat it a few months ago. I remember. Yeah, you're in the car.
That was quite good. That was quite fun. You get to play with doors, and they do installer courses as well, so you actually get to properly install a door. That's quite fun. Nicola is the MD of that company. I absolutely can't remember her surname. But they're quite good. But there's lots of courses that you can do. And sometimes this is going out and looking at them. Actually, saying that, there's been lots and lots of LinkedIn posts just recently about kind of what we talked about, which is the difference between a fire door inspection and a fire door assessment. And also a lot of people are saying they're getting assessments because, again, it's scope of works, it's criteria. So if you say I'm going to do a fire door inspection, you say I've done a fire door inspection, your hinges are out, your hinges are to the old standard or are not kite marked, and your door gaps are 10 mil all the way around.
Yeah.
So what is coming through now is you can't just say there's a problem. You need to then come back with a solution.
Yes.
So it's a fire door survey, or a fire door assessment, which is, I mean, I did one the other day, and you absolutely know I hate doing them. But I have been to a door and I have looked at the door, and the door hinges are to the standard for the door when it was installed. Absolutely everything is fine, no work required, or the door closer's a little bit loose, or the door handle's a little bit loose, or there's a missing roundel from it. So it's passed, but it's minor remedials, and these are what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then it goes down the scale to this door is terrible, you need to replace it.
Yeah. Which is, as a client, again, if I were to be a client for a second in my own building, that's kind of what I want to see, because then I know what I need to do off the back of it. Yeah. But that is a form of assessment, a form of analysis, rather than just a survey, which is, let me try and think of an example. Do you know what? I was messaging, as a quick sidebar, someone in my team earlier, and I gave an analogy, and she responded and she went, "You're talking a lot of analogies this week, Joe." And I thumbed back through our chat, and I have been doing. It's a bit light, and I think I talk in analogies quite a lot. What's a good analogy for this though? I could do well, in fact, I can do a tree survey because I have done. That's what I've just been doing in California all week, right? I can
Oh
go and
yeah.
do a tree survey and say that's a sycamore tree, that's a black mustard plant, that's a this, that's the other, right? I don't know anything about them trees. I'm just pointing at a thing, and to be honest, what I was doing, I'd take a picture and put it in ChatGPT and say, "What's this?" And it was unbelievably like accurate, right?
Yes,
I'm
and
doing a tree
Google
survey in that
Images do
case.
the same, where you take a photograph in Google Images and reverse search it, and it tells you what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I was a fairly adequate tree surveyor last week, but I've never studied trees. I don't know anything about them. But I'm not doing any assessment or analysis yet. That's what I'm coming home to do now for the wildfire work. So it's the same with like a fire door. And you could go sit a course and explain and describe the door that you observe, but it's the assessment part where you need
Yeah,
some
it's
knowledge of the actual
how do you make
principles.
that door? How do you make that door
Yeah,
in any way suitable to be a fire door? When at the
yeah,
moment it is not a fire door because there are issues with it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We did that on this show, didn't we? That was where it first came
Yes, we
about.
did.
That was
Yes,
one
it
of
is.
that was an episode I got a load of interaction on, like people messaging and saying, "Oh, it was good that," and emails and spoke to people about. Oh, good.
I had people do all that to you.
Yeah. Do you know? I have to say as well, right? I got a message last week from a listener, and I won't talk about it on the show because I didn't get a chance to respond to them. And I always, if I'm going to talk about somebody who's messaged me, I usually say, "You're right for me to do it on air." But I've killed LinkedIn again by accident because remember I got hacked a few weeks ago. Well, a few months ago, I think it
Yep,
was.
yep.
There's now this like hyper security crazy thing on there. So if you accidentally put your password in wrong, which I did the other day because I changed my password every few weeks and forgot I'd changed it, it's locked me out. I've been banned for like 28 days because I have to do security checks. So I've got to submit a
Oh,
load of
you
information.
numpty.
I know. I'm off
You
LinkedIn again
numpty.
because of my own high security after I got hacked, and I've now barred myself from it, annoyingly. I know.
I don't know.
Now, where am I going to get all this fire safety drama from watching people in the comments arguing with one another? You're going to have to relay it to me on this show so I can hear it. It's the only thing I'm on LinkedIn for.
Well, to be fair, every time you post on LinkedIn, there's drama anyway.
Every time I post,
Well, you did
I've
that post
started a
over
couple.
Christmas that got 18,000 in inflictions.
I've started a couple of civil wars along the way, Jude. But you know, that's just what comes
Yeah.
with the territory, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening or for watching, depending on which way you've done this.
Yeah.
Please feel free to drop us an email on notallfire@gmail.com or leave a message on our YouTube page or on Spotify or send a message to Joe. Clearly.
Although I can't read it, so don't
I mean, you
message
can
me.
send a message to me. I do keep an eye on various different things, as you well know. Yeah, we're going to
Thanks
keep
for watching.
recording. We're going to keep
We are.
videoing as best as we can. Hoping that I'm going to get slightly better at videoing.
Yeah. I'm going to
Yeah.
buy a nice setup. When I move back into the office, I'm going to have a proper studio so I can record with like the logo behind me and stuff, not just a kind of bookcase at home and all my mangled wires daisy chained into the back of my TV.
Well, everyone likes a nice violin above the head.
Yeah. Oh, do you want me to play us out? I can't play it. It's for show.
Don't make me spit all over my computer. That was hilarious. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
I hope you enjoyed the episode, and see you next week.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye.